Hi, we're doing something a little bit different this testing time. Neko Boy's taking point. Listen and enjoy.
Parker, Rom, and Captain Chaos. Team 2, Fire Reckoning, Quiz, Slayer, and Corbo. On Ruby Shelf, there's the 4v4 version with one natural each, neutral E point to the side, and A and B neutral in the mid. Anyways, Neko Boy here doing some more silliness. So, Darg is taking a quick backseat for this time. I'm going to be casting most of this, but hey, he'll chip in when he needs to. And it's going to be deploying a bunch of their fleet over here on the left side from their perspective, going for that E point. Nice little neutral fight there, kind of separated from the rest of the map. Get an interesting lane there. A and B kind of divide themselves thanks to this big ruby shelf in the middle, namesake of the map. And on the right side, you get this D to C push, similar to Yukon, where it's like a straight line there, but can end up being kind of a stalemate as both sides kind of try and position themselves and hold that, not letting their natural go to waste. Anyways, they're deciding their final formations now as we see enough people have readied up that the match will begin. Yeah. See where this develops, covering fleets as they come into the battle space. Looks like OSP is locked in, confident with what they're doing, and is making some last-minute adjustments, covering their caps and deployments, planning their rollout. All right, here we go. On the play screen, we're following in some monitors, which on TESTULOUS have gotten some nice mobility buffs and other tunings. Go through the fleets here once we get ourselves free camera. All right, so first we see Corbeau over here has got a Acello and then a trio of monitors. Monitors rocking C90s and T30s for that lovely combo of 600 mil and 100 mil. Quite effective with the bombshells against certain light ships. There's standard 450 Acello with stone walls and a whole bunch of Auroras. Doesn't look like too much else going on there. Take a look. Pie of Reckoning has got another 450 Acello. This one with Sarissas on the side, along with some Pavisas. Very nice, very nice. Sarissa on the tail, and the E70 golf ball jammer on the backside of that. MLS2 launchers on 2 monitors who are dispersed a little bit here, so nice ability to strike with 20 missiles at once there. We've got some Illuminator shuttles going along with, so these are probably going to be Gales or some derivative of. We'll see how those go. Quiz has a singular monitor here with Grazers C90s and T30s, and joining up with a lot of tugs. Let's see, C30s, MLS2, jammer. No lock on these, but still fairly cheap looking, well, I'd say cost effective looking multi-mission tugs here. Got a quartet of those. Ooh, actually, one of these is a bomber tug, has torpedo launchers instead of the kind of multi-role package that you see at other times. So yeah, 2 torpedo tugs, 3 multi-missions, and then a couple of mine launchers. 1 mine launcher just to secure the natural. Kind of a good investment now. You can get, I believe it's 9, 10, no,
18.
15 sprint mines in here. God damn.
18. If you
18?
use all the max space, yeah.
Ooh.
It's 9
So
per
we'll see
bolt
some
then.
mines set up on the C point then. We just got 2 little minimum investment cappers. Otherwise, got that nice little ceremonial arming missile to keep them alive technically. And then Slayer finally has a mass driver and T30 monitor, joined by a Bloodhound radar tug, a early warning tug, and then more mass drivers and T30s. Kind of a long range support fleet. A little bit lacking in point defense here, so going to rely on that soft kill. Yeah, quartet of those. All right, let's take a look on the battle space that was developed. We just see naturals being secured now. And it's a little slow on getting their D point natural. OSP is going to get the C point first. We can see that early warning radar kind of sweeping around the battlefield looking for anything they can shoot. Let's take a look at what the ANS brought to the table. We have got Captain Chaos over here with 1 beam destroyer, 2 beam destroyer, 3 and 4.
They all have prowlers.
Ooh, that's interesting. Huh. Prowler drive along with a lot of EWAR, seeing a hang up and 2 blankets, trying to go for that kind of isolate move there where you just hit somebody with enough jamming, keep your signature size low that you are not detectable until you get into that lovely beaming range. So that's going to be an interesting thing to guard a lot of the ANS points here, making it hard to push. Lena has a 450 Axford here with a size 3 backpacks that torps. Nope. Oh, okay, it does have some torps and a bunch of hybrids there. nice kind of a command piece to center formation around. Has a spyglass frigate down low, keeping watch, and then a beam destroyer looking fairly normal. He does actually have Mark 64s on it, so I see a little bit of DACA there just to supplement the beam fire. Let's see. Mungo Parker has a fairly standard looking beam destroyer with Auroras, a bit higher investment there. And then this is a bunch of the cap fleet stuff. You'll see a Mark 62 brick frigate here just for that little bit of RPF DACA. Cool. Joined by, let's see, Mark 62 shuttles. Interesting. This is kind of cool. A little bit of dispersed sort of gunfighters just kind of hidden around the map here instead of kind of more common torpedo corvettes you'll see. These seem to be tearing into a couple of the shuttles. Torpedoes out for good measure onto the E point now as the kind of neutral fight starts up. Same time, A point is getting, well, just a whole bunch of grape shot fired into it right now. We're seeing some of those plinking away at one of the corvettes. That said, the point is occupied by both players right now, so this is going to be sitting neutral for the moment, I think. Actually, ooh, that shuttle is just outside of the cap point, so ANS might actually get this here. B, D, and E going into the hands of the ANS. OSP has their natural, but that's about it right now, as OSP is kind of just sitting back passive while ANS takes some ground and is going to be very difficult to dislodge with the number of beam destroyers they have here. Big missile strike going out onto the E side. Already seeing the first of the kind of deaths here. Yeah, Corvette and a shuttle joining each other, going to be seeing an explosion on the E point. A whole bunch of missiles being exchanged here as this neutral ground is just being fought over no man's land for the moment. There's our first beam of the match going into one of Quiz's tugs, just gutting the thing completely. Anyways, ANS secures a 3 cap. E point does stay neutral, as kind of expected, but ANS has managed to just take the midfield rather uncontested. A couple grape shots flew into the A capper, but that was about it. Now OSP needs to really get themselves together into a formation that they can push down one lane and then overwhelm the enemy there, because with a number of dispersed beam destroyers here, if they just try and like stagger piecemeal, they're going to get picked off one by one with the jamming and stuff that's been provided. So let's finish going through the fleets here just before we get distracted again. ROM has, let's see, a full broadside 450 Axford here by the looks of it. Does this have track correlated spyglass? Let's find out. Spyglass 1, 2, 3, 4 track correlators. Yep, going for that long range shore bombardment style. That said, not the best targets for it to find here. No bulkers actually on the field for OSP, so they won't get that juicy broadside that makes it such a lovely target. Rest of ROM's fleet, we got a VLS-2 Corvette flying across the top of the map, joined by another one, so that's going to be using Pinard. Yeah, so a bit of a scout hunting team there.
Classic
Torpedo Corvette,
bomber,
just guarding. Yeah. Let's see. One-shotting, tug nihiling. Let's see, where is this space development? So yeah, a pair of Axfords over here on the east side, just kind of securing and holding ground here. Seeing now the C90s starting to fire into the midfield. No, they're just not oriented quite right here. All right. Quite a bit of stuff. Well, there's stuff happening, but there's also a whole lot of nothing happening, as ANS has been allowed to kind of take the points and then pull back, and OSP is really trying to find their position that they want to push with here. Now seeing that shuttle on the A point getting peppered down by RPF rounds here from the little gun brick here that took hits earlier, so 2 of its turrets are out. And does technically have a restore that they're going to use, so that's interesting. In return, though, a whole bunch of fire coming out towards it. Where was that? As I just missed my perspective. Ah, here we go. So grape shots fired towards these missiles incoming, just trying to clean up that A point and beam for good measure. So yeah, OSP going to have a hell of a time getting into this because there is like, what's it, 5, 6 beam destroyers just lurking around the map. Yeah, that's going to be very hard to push into since ANS has managed to secure their lead. ACAP is contested for the briefest of moments, but then the shuttle gets cleaned up, so it stays in ANS hands. Big missile strike coming out here now. We see those, what are they called? Squales, I believe the term is. Combination of squall and gale. Yep. So this is going after a big chaff cloud here. Lena popping all the chaff they can, trying to hide. Mass driver array stripping off a lot of this front side of the destroyer. 100 mil for good measure across the side. And ooh, there's a big caliber fire coming in from those Axfords. Or not Axfords, the Cellos. I always get those two mixed up for some reason. Not sure why.
The
Anyways.
Squales got laddered by the other DD.
Yep. Squales swing and a miss there for the most part. No significant damage. So,
Forward
yeah.
DD is fucked though. That's
Yes, absolutely. Lena's DD, the front and midsection has basically fallen off. This thing is not long for the world. It's still alive technically, but it just needs to be punched out by this 450, and I don't think it's going to drift into cover before that happens. Do one more good tap, and this thing will be gone. First proper blood, besides just, tugs and shuttles going there to the OSP. Yeah, now OSP moving up into the midfield here in the A side. You got a pair of the multi-mission tug paired up with a sort of bomber torp tug trying to get that A point. That said, there is still 5 other beam destroyers on this map, and I believe that they will be in position to hit them here if
I don't
they
think
are not
they
careful.
are.
Well, they can drift into position here. It's a short walk. That said, with Lena's going down, that was originally the A-cap recover. And some ACT CMD missiles here going after an already dead Corvette. Not sure if they know that or not, but they certainly do now. Yeah. Now they start contesting the A point. Let's see how fast ANS is to respond. Their sensor coverage should be okay here.
They're not spotted.
Ooh, all right. Let's take a look. Yeah, just barely managing to tuck onto that rock there, finding a gap in the sensor coverage here. Bunch of the destroyers that do technically have line of sight on them just aren't quite close enough to get that spot in. Nice. Well played by OSP. They're finding a small weakness that ANS presents and then exploiting it. That said, this will only turn the game into a 2-2 neutral, with E-Point still being, well, it is currently a ship graveyard, but E-Point is going to be standoff for a long time. ROM sweeping around the top side with those Corvettes trying to look for VLS-2 launches that they can get. That said, there's a pair of Cellos over there screening, so probably not going to find anything. Missile strike going out here on some of the beam destroyers on the D side, all that getting shot down or running out of fuel. See if anything else can be done about that. OSP looking like they will get the A-cap here, which will put the game back to a neutral state, but that's still not a winning position for them as they are behind on points. Missiles here trying to go off. Aurora at the last second, shredding through some of that, saving the Corvette. Very nice to see. So yeah, just going to be a standoff here for a while now. A-cap is secured. OSP does manage to bring it to neutral, but they do need another cap here to really put them back in the advantageous state they want to be in, because when you're neutral caps with ANS, it's not a great place to be, since their beam destroyers pretty much deny any push here, unless you have a overwhelming amount of firepower or a really good flank. Acello's squaring off against Axford's. Axford having to present its front sides, not wanting to take a whole bunch of 450 fire. Actually, that's the front sider Axford with the missile backpack. Where's that broadsider? A broadsider hanging out down low, trying to play the range game against these C90 monitors. That said, the monitors, very narrow target profile, so still struggling to hit at that range due to the innate inaccuracy of 450. A bunch of shots going out here now against Lena's command ship. Seeing some missiles fired in return for that. A 450 AP screaming now down and not doing the most, just kind of plinking away at it. Axers have very good repair rates, so they'll be able to wither most of the salvo. A couple of these missiles kind of going off here. These might spell disaster as the Sarissas are not hitting, and ooh, at the last second manages to deflect there. Yep, one of them just flat out missing, I believe, due to jamming there, or possibly seduced on chaff. So yeah, swing and a miss for those, unfortunately. The down 8-point side. Not too much happening there, just kind of sitting on neutral ground. Tugs went forwards and now can't really move. Chaff and Weave killed it? Ah, that would do it then. There's D-point, they're attempting to push with a tug, providing jamming, but now the destroyer shows up and suddenly double jammers plus a hang-up, causing a whole bunch of power issues at first there, but now it's starting to reorient themselves and going to be beaming that tug as soon as it enters that death zone of 6 kilometers. So see how that develops. A bunch of missiles in return sent out that direction. Probably looks like they're going after the Corvette that's trying to rotate itself over. AMM's deployed in return. See how these go down. Bunch of AMM does stop there, but there's not quite enough. We're going to see, is the Chad Fender still good? Aurora's just barely reaching over. Aurora's very good as supplementary PD from other ships due to the instantaneous travel time, just saving that Corvette for a second time this game. Kind of respect that, just the ability to lock down a zone. Typically you see this with an Acello, because that's, well, what most people put the Auroras on, but it's still viable as an ANS tool. There's 8-point, more missiles coming out of it. Tugs just kind of hanging out there, trying to provide suppression fire, keeping the ANS honest and locked close to the rock. We're going to watch as more missiles here are probably going to get shot down by Auroras. Look around. Is it in range? Ooh, nope. Just short, but still 4 missiles versus Chad Fender. Let's see who wins this. CMD ARAD Seeker, interesting. And no defender hits. So, 1, 2, 3, and runs out of ammo or something? Ooh, it's gotta hurt. No, just didn't manage to hit the last one, and more for good measure flying across here,
No,
narrowly
didn't
missing.
Run out of ammo and went out of arc.
Ah, damn, that's unfortunate. And more missiles just kind of being thrown out here. Destroyers managed to clean up some of these.
1 hit, minimal damage.
Interestingly, no illumination going on with that, so they just managed to get lucky enough with the curve there.
It might have lost illumination or something.
Take a look. So yeah, D point is where they are deciding to put a whole bunch of pressure as the stalemate on E continues. A point and B point not really contested. Missiles going down into that Corvette. Takes out the drive. That's probably going to be a dead Corvette because an immobilized Corvette is not long for this world once a follow-up swing comes. Torpedo launcher knocked out there. This thing is just going to hold on and then get shredded down by these tugs nearby. Still, OSP not able to get onto the D point. They are developing the battle space a little bit here, taking their wins where they can get it, just kind of trading fire. Now we'll see over on the other side of the map, E point, these Ocellos kind of hanging out high, trying to throw some 450 and keep ANS honest. That said, ANS pretty confident holding the ground here. OSP having to go wide with a couple other stuffs. Pyre Reckoning's missile boat over here is taking a bit of fire. That said, it is a small target. Still, 450 is going to do some serious damage to these MLS launchers. They don't have the most health. And this thing only has 2 restores, so it will need to bring that back online. Penetration depth dictated by the number of missiles you can really throw at them and just overwhelming the PD here. See them pull back into cover. Yeah, for the most part now, it's just going to be a bit of a stalemate as both teams try and decide where they want to go next and what to push. As, well, ANS has done a good job zoning out OSP for the most part. They did lose the A point because they hadn't got a destroyer in position to cover it yet, but now they're just playing
about to
cleanup.
get sad. There's a beam DD unmasking.
Yeah, that beam DD, like we said from earlier, just rotating into position. They're trying to move away now as they're taking some fire from the Mark 62 brick. See, in a second here, is that beam destroyer going to orient or not? Come on, buddy, you've got this. There it is, right into the drive section, and that's going to be an incredibly dead tug in a second.
Ox managed to survive with like no damage.
Ox steering, oh, and the drive, man, just put the entire midsection gone.
Incredibly lucky.
Yeah, that said, no restores left on this thing. Launchers not going to be provided by any bulk mag anymore. Yeah, that's borrowed time, really.
If it had B shorted, it probably would have died.
Yeah, they probably presumed it didn't need to be short since beam would most likely take that. Anyways, jamming, countering some missile strikes over on the D side here. Let's see if the defenders are good. Oop, never mind. The beam is just going to carve into one of Pyre Reckoning's missile boats here. That said,
it
beam
seems
strangely
to be taking no damage.
Yeah, what was that? Excuse me? Like, that beam is fired from about 4 kilometers there. We saw that impact, but no damage dealt. That's curious. Possibly
Seems like
a
a
spectator
bug.
visual glitch. Yeah, we've seen a
No,
little
it
bit of
didn't
this before.
take
Now
any
that one's going to
there-
hit. There we go.
go.
DC locker goes away. Small DC as well. MLS, yeah.
that thing's
That's the
dead.
burn. Panic dump in response. You're trying to get anything they can into it.
These are
Let's see.
Hodge.
So yeah, Saw Hodge. Saw is good. Let's see. Is there any chaff? No, there
There's
is
a
not.
second beam DD on it.
Yep, and clonk right into
Gone.
the front side.
DD died though
Yep.
for its sins.
Mutual trade out there. Missile boat for a destroyer. That said, the little illumination shuttle is still alive and can slide onto the D point. We'll see if Mungo Parker targets it and then kills it off here. Tell exactly which track they're firing
it's
on.
locked.
But
Yeah, it's probably.
yep,
gonna
that
die
thing
now.
not long for the world. So, ANS, again, proving very hard to unroot from their points once they've taken it. Do not want to let them have a cap advantage like this. Ideally, OSP gets that initial point lead, being able to reach their natural points faster, and then getting that small sort of dictating the flow of the battle space. There goes that shuttle. Popping chaff. There's a last hurrah. It's not going to help. Good night, sweet prince.
Still alive technically, but. Yeah.
Are you sure about that? Wop
Well,
wop.
It's not aim point memes. Didn't hit the CIC. Just gonna need a few more taps. Oh, it
There's
died.
beam destroyers doing cleanup, although taking some bombshells for their trouble from Quiz over near the C point for the OSP. Let's take a look on the E side. Oh, look, once again, nothing has quite happened. This mutual stalemate goes on. Couple of ships exchanging fire. One of the Mark 62 frigate bricks is just getting shredded by 100 mil now. Does not have the caliber to contest that. I believe that, if I remember my numbers right, 120 mil does not actually have the ability to
It
damage
cannot pen
monitors.
monitors, period.
And monitors having that 48 centimeter armor and 120 AP dealing maximum 45 centimeters of armor pen. I think
It'll
that's the
pen
numbers, but
eventually by sandblasting it.
Yeah, but like not from a frigate.
volume of fire will eventually wear down armor, but yes, not going to be able to conventionally get through that. Anyways, Oxfords and Ocellos kind of exchanging fire now. Ocellos coming from up high, as we saw. Now the OSP has stacked up their fleets into the ball of death, starting to move over the top. Beam for good measure coming down here, cleaning up some of the ships before they get to the E point. Yeah.
Rip that.
It's going to be a very dead monitor. Still technically alive, I believe,
It's got
having
a
a restore,
CIC.
but yeah, it has CIC and a DC storage, but yeah, not long for this world. Another beam destroyer there, just cleaning up, showing why it is so hard to push into ANS. Even with the changes to the destroyers, them having a reduced overheat damage modifier or whatever it is.
They can battle short less now.
Yeah, the B short changes, meaning that you're not as effective against big targets, but still, beam is beam. Nothing about the damage number has actually changed. It just dictates how long you can cook them for.
Less ammo, basically.
Pretty much, yeah. That said, they might struggle to clean up here, because if OSP can survive just a little bit longer, they can get this E cap. They're shooting 2 monitors, but the third one might survive. Beam Destroyer are going to take a big volley here. Whack! Right into the side there. Captain Chaos loses that. Mass Drivers, too, for good measure. Focus Fire is the name of the game. E-Point actually going to get capped by OSP at great cost, and now this formation's starting to crumble here as the Beam Destroyers that have been creating kind of this like no-go zone are being taken out piece by piece. One of them still alive, cleaning up the E-Point here.
Captain
Chaos by the Ruby
where
Shield.
it just kind of clips it. Just clips the edge. Misses half the beam. Beautiful.
Yep. Unfortunate for that. Now, ANS, their cap lead that they had established earlier, now falling apart as OSP has gotten their 3 cap that they've always wanted. ANS is doing damage here, not to discredit them, but OSP kind of taking the punches and still being able to push up now as we watch this left side just kind of getting overloaded. Axford's taking a huge volley of fire here. Front side of this Axford not looking the greatest as it just kind of is getting hit in the flank now. Mass Drivers are good measure. Yeah, that's a lot of firepower raining down hell from up high.
Missile MN getting heck peed.
Take a look. Yep. And whop whop. Just smack right through the drive section there. Still alive, I believe, on a technicality. Has 1 restore that can be used for that reactor. Yep, they're getting the drive back online now.
They're MN dying to beams. DD's very sad, though.
Beam DD's just forced to hide under rocks now as a whole bunch of this OSP death ball just kind of has pushed up now, and they're fairly content to just sit here. They've secured their caps, and now it's ANS's turn to make something happen. The question is, what do they do? ANS having to push up, not knowing exactly the state of the battle space due to a bit of lackluster scouting around their side. Not to fault them or anything, just they don't have anything in position to see any exploitable terrain here. Realizing that most of the OSP fleet has gone to the east side, they should be able to push up towards C point. That said, though, there is a mine trap waiting for that. B point, potentially a point of contention here. Nope, never mind. That is just a very dead shuttle that's going to be shot down by a whole bunch of 120 mil here. A point, for the most part, is open, though, if ANS can move towards it. You see ROM moving a pair of Corvettes up high, trying to look towards Seaside, finding that monitor over there. Over on the E point fight, though, it's just a, well, it is a non-stop barrage towards the front of this Axford, as it is just taking every caliber in the game at this stage. Still alive, technically, but not having a great time at bleeding out restores non-stop here. Yep. Reactor Bloom, for good measure, on E point there. Anything that had armor now doesn't. I don't see exactly what ANS can do to stop this, not exactly push, but just amount of pressure here that's going to slowly fold to the defenders that they had on this side. Showing that kind of defeat in detail playstyle that you want to really take advantage of, putting a whole bunch of points against a lesser number and then just overwhelming them with firepower. Axford's still not technically dead, but functionally, I'd say this thing's mission killed for most of the rest of the game. Not enough survivability left on this, and then any dedicated firepower will knock out those guns again, since they have just been withered down so much. Entire front sides pockmarketed by holes, meaning the armor is degraded. Look, A point still in OSP's hands. They do have a multi-mission tug sitting on it. This is going to be providing intel. Let's see, they have been locked by something. It looks like Beam Destroyer spots that and is now rotating to kill it. So, ANS trying to look for a way back into this. They do still have a cap lead in terms of total points, but that 3-2 cap is putting the pressure on them. Now they're looking towards Seaside, trying to move down here. Yep. So that is a very wounded-looking C90 T30 monitor, just acting as the C point defender. That said, that sprint mine trap, I'm betting is going to get at least 1 catch today. A couple missiles sent out towards A point, AMMs in return fired. Hybrids are going to stage in. Ooh, all the AMMs go after 1, and instead the missile lands in the backside of that multi-mission tug. Oof. Back over on the east side, yep, continuing to survive under fire, this Axford is, but it is not having a good day trying to find its way into cover. Yeah, it is run out of stuff. It does technically have a cannon. It's trying to hold its front pancake stack together. The entire thing has just been lit up really well here, so
Tug on A is dying.
should
got
be
beamed
hit
a
by
bunch. Oh,
beams in a sec. Oh, there's the
Mines
sprint
out,
mines.
out. Oh, got shafted
One
now.
catch of the day as they all go after a
Yep.
single ship. That said, this is part of the benefits of running pairs of sprinters. One of them still does live and survive and move towards C point. That defending monitor is pretty crippled, has one damage control team trying to work overtime and restore it, but will not in time to get that C cap back.
It'll get
Yep.
back eventually though. Unless
It's going to
that
be a
DD
question of will this thing be able to get
The
back in the next
DD's
20
gonna-
minutes?
The DD's gonna have to probably go around and finish it off. Tug on A has died though.
Battle short just flicked on there until life pods pop, seeing the A point cleaned up. ANS might go over and make a push for that, seeing now a Mark 62 frigate trying to drift its way there, but it's also being shot by all of the guns from that
Yeah, it's gonna die.
OSB
Lost
death ball.
CIC.
Yep, rip Aroni.
Corvette is retreating. Looks like. The Spyglass frigate. It looks like is.
Spyglass
taking
frigate
its
has
place.
that. OSP
Plan
not.
control. Why does it have a plan control?
What are we looking at here? Hang on a second.
Scryer adaptive
Plan
Spyglass
control.
with a prowler.
Possibly not enough power
yeah,
to run
right.
it with Prowler?
Spyglass and ARR needs a whiplash.
I would think that you could do this with a no,
You
because
don't
you've
have
got
the muzzle
Spyglass,
slots
Scryer,
for
and
booster.
Adaptive.
Yeah,
Yeah,
don't have the slots for
interesting.
boosted.
Expensive little scouting tech piece there, but still, it's going to make its way to the C point. In the meantime, OSP's Death Ball is just continuing to rain fire onto ships here. They're pretty content with their position right now since ANS has not secured the C point quite yet, so they're able to just kind of put pressure on here, clean up any assets, and then moving around the battle space as they please. They do still have to be aware that there's possibly beam destroyers. Only 2 of them left, though. One of them towards the C side that has been locked and detected, and CNSL is starting to fire on it. The other one guarding the A cap here in the nice little rotation hole through the Ruby Shelf. If you did not know, there is, I believe, 1, 2, and then 3 holes. Yep, so you can actually travel between the top and bottom of the shelf. A little bit hard to see sometimes due to the red nature of them, but these do exist, and they're a great spot to tuck a shuttle or corvette to ambush your enemy with. Or if you want, you can rotate a whole battleship through there. C-cap now going into the hands of the ANS. Yep, that monitor's still hanging out over there, trying to recover and just not having a good time. So possibly that thing will limp back into the battle space in, like, I don't know, 10 minutes and then cap the C point, only to die to a beam. So ANS now moving towards A point. They have the little corvette that could trying to make its way over there, taking its place next to those tugs that died earlier.
Yeah,
None of
it's
those
gonna make
appear to become
that.
critical.
There's nothing on the.
Yep.
Nothing.
And no contestion possible there. Just does not have the line of fire they want to get that. Nice
Yeah.
positioning of that sort of central rock, providing cover in certain circumstances, but
Cover
also during the initial
inside
rollout.
points is very silly.
Let's see. So, yeah. OSP Death Ball continuing to maneuver around, trying to find targets. We see it down at the bottom of the map. The broadside Axford is able to fire a couple shots towards them. It's, let's see. Yep, track correlators are all still operational, so it does have accurate fire at that 11-kilometer range. That said, monitors are a really, really small target, so 450 struggles to hit them at that 11-kilometer mark. They're also fairly agile, so as long as you're adjusting their sort of, what's the word? It's not heading, direction of motion? But Orbulus dodging and whatnot, you're able to evade a lot of fires. We see some shots kind of coming in here now and just going to be mostly missing. Yep, one of them goes by, and, well, actually one of them hits and then the others just go by. That's what I'm trying to say. A point now going in the hands of the ANS. That is a 4 cap for them. So while OSP did hold a commanding situation, this is the downside of Death Ball. You put all of your assets into one area and then the enemy caps out the other side of the map. So they have to now rotate around and look for anything they can fight for. If they dive onto the A point here, they're going to be met with a beam destroyer, which will then be kind of a DPS race to see if the 100 mil and 450 guns. Actually, I guess all of the firepower here would be effective against beam destroyer. C90 is not something I'm the most familiar with seeing, since it is, well, not typically seen on main branch, but here on test branch, it's gotten a lot of love, so it's quite good.
ANS is gonna win in about 7.5 minutes, assuming current caps.
So we see a little capper that could, the Lighthouse Illuminator shuttle here from Pyre Reckoning, heading towards the A point. They do not know that there is a sprinter on the other side that will hold this down, and I believe that that sprinter does still have missiles. Yep, it's got 6 hybrids left on the tank, and 2 regulars even. Nice. So That's just going to be contesting there. They'll have to go around the other side, and then a beam destroyer will cook anything that tries to get there. See, an Acello now moving its way towards C point will probably get there in the next 5 minutes or so. Other Acello just trying to do some gunfighting here. They see the Axford has now peeked out from behind the rock and is going to get poked a little bit more. That Axford does not really have too much to threaten with. A single Mark 66, it's not really going to do it, especially with no ammo elevators. Oof. Take a look now. So, yep, they're onto the A point, and they realize, oh, crap, this is a contested point. We don't have anything to take this right now. Over on Seaside, that one monitor that was still alive has been cleaned up by a beam destroyer that's now rotating to defend the mid of the map. So that beam destroyer has been locked on by... what here? Ah, the Acello. So, yeah, Acello coming around the rock, realizing the threat it is in with that beam destroyer, firing off some shots. So that beam destroyer, I believe, has... No, this is not the one with jamming, so it does not have cover against that. Just going to try and do some rock covering here, avoiding that incoming fire. Analysis Annex and Intel Center. I actually don't hate that completely. Just a really, really fast way to get intel, and then sticking that into a cap plate seems like a doable tech. Possibly overkill with the Analysis Annex, since the Intel Center is quite fast, but every second can count in identifying threats. So, interesting little side-grade tech. That is so going to try and make its way onto C point, and most likely to eat beam in a second here. That destroyer, yep, is
die.
locked on and going to cook it. Woof.
It's bow
right.
on, the thing's orange. This Acello is probably going to win.
Does lose one of its guns, well, not lose, but read it out there. Still, it is able to fire in retaliation. See the 450 here, yep, right, and the beam goes down there, so that will be deciding that fight, whose guns go down first. Anyways, A point continuing to sit neutral as the monitors and other Acello are looping around the other side of the rock now, trying to get line of sight on that Corvette that's still on the point, holding it down. Beam destroyer that's covering A point here, now taking shots from the flank from that Acello as they've recognized the threat and are now doing the correct move of rotate around and then try and bracket it from the side that is not covered by rocks. Having to retreat back into the hole here in a second to avoid dying. Anyways, now, while the OSP Deathball has been rotating away from E, we're seeing ROM moving their still alive broadside Axford towards that point. This thing is able to survive a lot of incoming fire still, because Axford is Axford. If it puts its bow on, it should be able to drift onto that E point and make that a... Well, C point will be capped here, but that will still be a 4-cap lead, and OSP is running out of time. That timer that we see up the top here is to 1,000 points here, so yeah, 798. That 4-1 lead is going to be very, very fast. Well, running out the clock, as it were.
OSP, ANS has 4.5 minutes to win.
Thank you. Seeing some missiles coming out here towards the A point now as the Corvette gets pushed off. It's getting hit by bombshells and other stuff. Oh, no, that's the 450 from above. That's what that is. See a bunch of sparks just slamming into the rock there and showering it. Yep, it's bracketed on both sides as the 100 mil tears into it now. You can see this thing go down. A cap will be had, but again, that back cap on E and then C point over here. C point is attempting to be contested by a Spyglass frigate, although that's just going to keep the Acello there for a second as it rotates around and then kills that.
MVD's back.
That's right. The beam is back, which does kind of matter because those guns are in the wrong direction. See, Acello loses its front turret. Topside one gets cooked, and the mag goes out. Ooh, that could be big here. Does this thing have a redundant mag? I don't see one.
It doesn't. It's missing ammo.
Yep, bulk mag goes down there, meaning that now Beam Destroyer can take its time, recycle its beam in a second here, and then just start cooking away because they will have to restore that magazine. So they are working pretty hard on getting that fire out, and we'll see how fast they can put the thing actually back together, though. So A point does go into the hands of OSP. Yeah, that is a bulk mag, huh? Interesting. Either way, continuing to see the front side of this Acello get knocked out. Acello with a whole bunch of small lockers in the nose. Interesting experiment. These are a lot cheaper on the TESTULOUS server than they are on live, so possibly onto something there in terms of just getting cost efficiency value.
Yeah, smalls are best for cost efficiency over larges. You get one more team for 5 points less.
So, funnily enough, over on the A point here, one of the sprinters playing Possum, we're just watching that Acello get cooked off in the background. Yeah. Are they just cycling their reactor power or what here? Saw their lights flicker for a brief second. Yep. ANS technically on the A point, but so is the OSP with a monitor, and I believe that is a armed shuttle. No, that shuttle does not have an arming missile. Anyways, over on the east side, that broadside Axford now putting its bow on and just holding its ground here as ANS keeps that 3-cap advantage going. Yep. So monitors here taking shots in the nose from that 450. So yeah, 450 Axfords from the front. There's not enough really to kill this thing here. Like, you've got some mass drivers, some T30s. This Axford at this stage of the game is pretty healthy and nigh impossible to dislodge without a big missile strike, a lot of plasma, or some other
ANS is
supplementary
gonna win
force.
in 3 minutes.
Yeah. They're just going to run out the clock here because I don't believe that OSP will be able to get another cap. We're seeing them trying to go towards the D point, but there is a beam destroyer nearby that can say nuh-uh to that.
They'd need at least a 4 cap at this point.
Yes.
Yeah, they need a 4 cap. It's probably not going to happen.
C point there trying to clean up the one spyglass frigate that's hiding here behind the other Acello.
Can we get back to that beam destroyer?
Which one? The one on C point or the one down on
the
D?
one in this cranny. Look at that. Look at that spot.
Yep. It's an incredibly good spot to hide and rotate between 2 points. You can do this with torpedo tugs. You can do it with beam destroyers like we see here. I think I've seen a beam battleship go through there once or twice before. It's a very interesting recessed spot that makes you pretty hard to detect and also able to quickly control 2 points. Bunch of missiles exchanged over on the east side for not a lot of effect. Jamming missiles fired in return. Killjoys. Yeah, Monitor Blob just trying to chip away at anything here. And the Axford doesn't care. D point now, those monitors have been detected for the first time, so ANS is going to be quick to react. We'll see their beam destroyer most likely move over and sweep that. It is within beaming range, yep, just at that 6-kilometer mark, so they'll have to cook them a little longer, but still doable. Speaking of beaming, let's look at that C point. Yep, at Porcello just getting torched here. The entire top side has fallen off as they're trying to bring anything back online. No restores remaining, so that's the downside
parallax
of
on
small
that
lockers.
either. It's just a front line.
Yep, it is a stick now. Sun drive on this thing and whiplash, so very fast, kind of like orbital asset there. That said, big shot from the side here. What just made that thing spark? Beam does go out. They might have just cooked it down. Has an atmosphere leak. Oh, there's a mass driver being fired. Oh, this is interesting sightline. D point has a sightline on the beam destroyer that's firing on C point, just barely able to knock that thing out. I see some 120 mil try to plink away at the armor of these little bricks that are occupying the D point right now.
They're using high
OSP will get the cap, but yeah, it's possible that they don't realize what these things are, or they just don't have the ammunition type. Let's take a look. Nope, they are just high explosive and RPF rounds. It's interesting. Anyways, ANS going to win it here, just holding onto their caps. That E back cap keeping them in the lead there, denying that 4 cap. So yeah, just gonna see it tick 2 or 3 more times, and then that will be the game. Very interesting deployments, as we saw. Both teams able to aggressively kind of push up, take their natural points, and then kind of contest the middle battle space, and then a lot of it stack up for that E side flank where they had the OSP overload, and then ANS trying to hold their ground while also giving a little bit to get some opportunistic shots with beam destroyers. All right. We'll get the players back up here and then go into post game. Let's see it. Beam destroyer fleet here getting kind of wrecked. Able to hold ground. Yep. Axford's doing Axford things. Cap fleet looking at cap fleet. Almost 16,000 from Mungo Parker's beam destroyer. Still alive at the end there. Around with the 18K on the Axford broadsider. 6.5 thousand with that 1 size 2 sprinter. Nice. For an OSP side, 18,000 done with a Acello. Monitors doing decent with their T30s and C90s against light threats. Not huge damage numbers, but I mean, hey, they knock out their targets pretty fast. Acellos and monitors kind of doing their job, and yeah. Interesting bit of a game there. Points flip back and forth pretty fast, so let's ready up and get into another one then. Anyone have anything post-game to offer?
I wish all those mines had gone for my chaff.
Real.
Luring home on jam missiles is fun.
Well, so what was
Yeah.
Eyes Seekers? Was it both Act Wake and? Okay.
Saw home on jam.
And
I
Saw
had-
Wake, yeah. There's a mix.
Yeah, 2 sets.
All right, Lena, just you to ready up. I think.
It was Captain Chaos who had the Prowler destroyers with jamming and stuff,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Interesting tech.
I
What's
despise
the
those.
threshold you're trying to go for there with like radar signature versus jamming strength?
As much as possible. There's no threshold.
Oh, okay. I was wondering if there's like some specific tech you're trying to move
The
towards.
idea is to have them be self-sustaining and work on their own.
Yeah.
Um,
2 blankets
by
does
that, I
hide a
mean-
beam destroyer, and the Prowler just makes it a little bit better. But still, Prowler kind of, well, not great for maneuverability.
One will beat
Yeah.
Bridge Master anyways.
I think it's to counteract the blanket radar sig buff. I don't know. I was just trying it out.
Hey, it's an
I
interesting
like-
tech. Credit to you.
I liked the like kind of arsenal like MD monitors. I think if you had some like line ships backing you up, I think that would have been.
Yeah, that
I
was an
didn't have
interesting game
monitors.
since OSP did not have any line ships that you would typically see bringing a lot of the big guns, instead relying on the monitors.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think there was any plasma either.
No.
Yeah,
Oh,
didn't see
yeah.
plasma.
You want that triple threat.
I think it was just missiles and 450 to deal with the experts.
So at the very end there, E-capped by the broadside Oxford that just put its nose on, and then there was nothing to actually kill it the rest of the game.
Okay, that was Neko running a game. It went pretty well. We're gonna have to break up these teams a little bit. But that's neither here nor there. I'd like to thank Neko for doing that. He did a good job in just showcasing one of our local casting talents. He streams on Twitch pretty regularly, and he's pretty damn good at casting. He's coming out here to kind of rescue me a little bit from doing this every single weekend, which is slowly killing my soul. I love doing it. It's just a lot for one person to handle. I've added a moderator to Discord, and I'm also leaning on some other people to assist with making this whole thing happen. So thank you, Neko, for doing that and participating in this. And thank you, dear viewer, for watching this video on my channel, which I didn't really feature in at all. I'm just sort of the cameraman here. But that's okay. I'll see you in the battle space, dear viewer. Good night.